Joy. And I do want to ask Leah if you can unmute yourself and say something about camps. Right,
I want to
Leah?
say something about the grants. We have been providing grants for GCCs in support of your local Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, and Yom HaAtzmaut programs for the last 3 years. What is new here is the scope. We scaled this up. We've never been able to provide $12,000 before. This is new, and also in numbers. In the past year, we were very limited, and we were able to support about 20 JCCs. We hope to support all JCCs. We have 170 JCCs. Halevi will get 170 wonderful proposals. So the difference here is the numbers are higher and more JCCs will benefit. I also want to mention that the decision what proposal will be approved or not, referencing the question if a few different programs will be approved, the decision will be made by a joint steering committee made of the ministry and of GCC Association, and every proposal will be carefully looked at. Most likely, I will encourage you to only submit one program. You will have better chances to receive your grant if you submit one program. My last thing that I would say as an encouragement, partner with as many local organizations. The steering committee will see in favor if you come up with programs with different synagogues, with Federation, with Hillel, with other Jewish organizations within the community. We all understand that, as we say in Hebrew, Davka Achshav, now more than ever, this year more than ever before, we want to make sure that our GCCs are well equipped to commemorate Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaShoah, and to celebrate. Hopefully we'll have more to be thankful by Yom HaAtzmaut. So this is where we come in and step in.
Thank you, Leah. And I do want to say there was, yes, budget over 18K and the grant amount is chopped at 12K. Yes. So again, we cannot go over 12,000, but if your budget is more, I understand that. So I do want to say I'll stay until the end for more questions, but I just want to say what's going to happen. We have a beautiful performance by Jimbo J, aka Omer Hebron. Omer, who lives in Gaza Envelope, who's like, I think it's only his second performance since October 7th, will now perform here with his band. And he will sing we will sing now 4 or 5 songs from his repertoire. And then we will have, during those songs, we have a little bit of interaction, a little bit of conversation. Omer is a wonderful performer, but also he has been open. He's been in Chicago last year, and he's been doing performances all over the U.S. In the past year. And he have a story to tell from October 7th that I want all of us to hear. So it's music and a little bit of conversation, a little bit of Israeliness. After about 35 minutes with Omer, we will have another session with the cast of the movie Victory, the movie that was supposed to come out last week. The movie that talks about, it's a musical, it's a film, it's a musical, it's about 1967 war, but it's more of all the story of the cast since the film was supposed to be released, and it's just amazing opportunity that we have here. So I will take more questions in about an hour or so, but it's 8:20, it's 1:20 New York time, and I do want to call Omer to the stage. Bevakasha, Omer Hebron. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're honored to be here. I would just like to say that feel free to ask whatever you like. We're more than happy to talk about what happened on the 7th of October, about our friends, about our families. But before that, we'll play 2 songs about Hebrew, about my main passion. Like Uriah said, my name is Omer. My nickname is Jimbo J, and it was my nickname on the ICQ chat back in 1998, and now I'm stuck with it. So 2 songs about Hebrew before the 7th of October. עשיתי, 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 עשיתי. מה זה שירתי? עשיתי צבא! טירונות בשיפטו משם ג'נין, אחר כך חתמה ציון העלים, שמירות עם הנחל, לימוד בגולן, אחר כך עשיתי גם קורס מפקדים, עשיתי פטרונים בגב, עשיתי שמירות 8-8 בקו, עשיתי קפה שחבל על הזמן, שחור, חזק, להתעורר במערב, עשיתי מעצר בחברון, עשיתי האחת מלחמת לבנון, כשעשיתי קצין בבאר שבע בבית החייל הזמרון. איך המ"פ עשה לי? וואלה, אני לא רציתי, אמרתי לו קבע ולא נעליים, אני את שלי? עשיתי, 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 עשיתי. מה זה טיילתי? עשיתי את הודו, בצפון עשיתי כמעט את הכל, דרמסלם ענה לי אין על כסול, אז נמאס לי, אז עשיתי פרסן, הוא ברבה לי, עשיתי את הטנט במדבר, 3 ימים, 2 לילות אופנועים, אחר כך עשיתי קשמיר נגמר.
נחמד, יופי, אחלה טיול.
נשאר רק לעשות הדרום, עשיתי יצירה ברג'סטן, קניות הכי זולות בפושקר, משם לגואר ובומביות חודש לפלו למרוביץ' אמפי מציתי, אני את שלי? עשיתי, 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 עשיתי. מה זה השתמשתי? עשיתי סמים, ירוק, לא סמים קשים, שחטו, ג'וינטים, פייסלים, ספליפים, מאהבתי גם פייפים, מבלתי ראשים, עשיתי את הקוקה וקצת חגיגת באף שורות, לא בלעתי, הסנפתי, אמתי עשיתי פעם אחת, לא נפתח, וואלה לא אהבתי, קוק פרסי לא עשיתי, אומרים שאתה נגנב. שפיץ טריפ עשיתי אנובול עשיתי, עזבו אתכם עכשיו, עכשיו רק רוצה לביתי, שמות, עסקים, תמכה, קייקים, לעשות חיים, אבל גם רוצה לעשות חושבים, לעשות תשובה, לעשות נפשות, לעשות אהבה, לעשות ילדים, לעשות מה שגבר צריך לעשות. עשיתי, 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 עשיתי. Good afternoon to you. עשיתי, 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 עשיתי. Thank you very much for every one of you who claps near their computer. We appreciate it a lot. The next song is called Cats. Cats. בא לי לומר לך שחיפשתי אותך, כי לאהבה אין זמן ואין גיל, אבל לא בא לי שתלחצי, אז כותב, היי, קפצתי כשהחלפת תמונת פרופיל. בא לי לומר לך שחסרת לי, אבל גם בא לי להרשים, אז מצטט את אביב, מפתח המרחק פתח לי שער של געגועים. אני קורא בין השורות של מחשבות ששיתפת שזוגיות הייתה לך נחל אכזב. בא לי לומר, אני השקט שאחרי הגשם, עד עכשיו הסתפקת בשלל שרב, אם את מאבדת אחיזה כמו שלכת, תני לי להביא לך את הסתיו. לא בא לי לבאס, אז כותב, מה איתך? מה המצב?
איך לומר לך שאני אוהב אותך, לא מוצא את המילים.
איתי כפיר on the drums.
אז אני שולח לך סרטון של חתולים.
The best singer in our band, unfortunately. בא לי לומר, זוכרת אז בתיכון, חיינו כמו סרט נאורים. את גילמת את מלכת השכבה ואני בתפקיד הידיד. שירים שרקדנו אז בנשף כשהבנת שאני מה שחיפשת עדיין מתנגנים באוזניי. מרגיש לי שזה קיץ', אז כותב, קולטת כמה זמן עבר מהתיכון? וואי וואי. בא לי לומר, קשה לשכוח כמה מר היה אז טעם הפרידה. במקום בו עמדת נשאר רק אוויר בלי חמצן, ואני התהפכתי במיטה מציפייה שתשובי ואת לא באת. לא בא לי לעשות לה רגשי, אז כותב, צחוקים, אני זוכר את היום שנסעת, ובא לי לשאול למה לא ענית למכתבים שלי, למה אף כמו פרפר תעתוע. בא לי לשאול למה לא רצית את המילים שלי, למה נתת לתהום הגעגוע להלבין לי לילות ולצבוע באפור עמוק את הימים. בא לי לצאת קליל, אז שולח לך את האות חטא 3 פעמים.
איך לומר לך שאני אוהב אותך, לא מוצא את המילים. אז אני שולח לך סרטון של חתולים.
אחרי הכל בא לי שתדעי כמה ניסיתי, כמה שרציתי למצוא את המילים. הלכתי וחיפשתי בשירים של אחרים, עדיין לא מצאתי איך לומר שאת נהר מים מתוקים במלח המדבר. בטח תחשבי שזה מוזר, איש של מילים שלא אומר דבר. Uriah fingers on the guitar. איך אומר לך שאני אוהב אותך, לא מוצא את המילים. אז אני שולח לך סרטון של חתולים. איך אומר לך שאני אוהב אותך, לא מוצא את המילים. אז אני שולח לך סרטון של חתולים. Thank you. תודה.
Thank you, Omer.
Thank you.
Jimbo, how are you?
I'm great.
Yes.
You don't know what to answer these days, do you?
I know, but thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. I think everyone at the JCC Association appreciate you being here.
It's an honor to be here.
And your music is still wonderful, as always.
Thank you.
And let's start just talking a little bit about you. Your repertoire. It's not just about music. It's about writing. It's about I know I've seen a couple of your musical. You're an actor, and I know you also call yourself a master in Hebrew, right? Hebrew is
I don't call myself, but
No,
I love
call
Hebrew.
So it's all about the language, and I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about it. First, when you perform in front of like an audience who doesn't speak, speaks some Hebrew, doesn't speak Hebrew for sure as a first language, how does it feel when I know how much the language is important to you?
Yeah, well, Hebrew is my main passion, as I said earlier. My mom used to correct me on Hebrew since I was 1 year old and till today. So it feels, I hope our translations are good enough. I guess it doesn't really catch the Israeli experience, but it does, I think, catch some of it. So it's an interesting experience.
Can you share something, from your last journey, maybe in Chicago, about like how did you see, especially the American Jewish audience, how they relate to your music, to your songs, to you in general, and how did you feel to be on stage when there are so many people over there who knows a little bit about you, doesn't, some things about you. Mm-hmm. Here in Israel, I think, especially in the last year, most people do know who you are. Does it matter to you?
Not really. I'll just say we've been twice this year in Chicago, in the I Center. It was a unique experience. I think we got the idea of being a part of a big Jewish story. As Israelis, as a secular Israeli, I'm not very into religious. I'm not very religious, but but in Hebrew we have religion in our culture, and we have the Jewish story in us. So even when you say the world was formed by word, Vayhi-o, I will say that's the first thing they teach you in the first grade. So you get the sense that language, that Hebrew especially, is very important. And for us, both of us, we've been there, me and Uriah, the guitar player, not you, Uriah, the other Uriah, the first Uriah to me, sorry. And it was very, we learned a lot.
Great. So we'll hear a couple more songs from you before we'll talk a little bit about the last week, 6 weeks in your life, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As I said, I would love to talk about it.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
So the next song I'll play with Uriah, just like we played in the I Center. It's acoustic version. of a song called המקום הכי נמוך בעולם, the lowest place on earth, referring to the Dead Sea, but not only. That's how it goes.
There's no one talking.
בחופש הגדול שאחרי י"ב, בימים הריקים שלפני הגיוס, ירדנו לטייל בים המלח, כל החברים.
How many people are on this?
כשהים עדיין היה מלא, כשכולם עדיין היו כאן, ושם ראיתי אותך פעם ראשונה. אהבת נעורים. 2002, התייבשנו שעתיים בתור בכניסה לחוף. לא הזיז לי בכלל. שמענו את הלהיט של סבלימינל בריפיט. כשנכנסנו לחוף סוף סוף, צפנו על הגב על המים. ברחנו את הזמן עד הגיוס כמו קרם ידיים שמוכרים בעגלות בארצות הברית. אני זוכר שאת באת בלילה. ביקשת מצית וצחקת כי שמעת ששרנו דץ ודצה ושאלת,
אתם שרים כאן ביתי ברצינות?
ילדים שחזרו ממסע לפולין לא מאמינים שיכול להיות בית שני. כמה תמימות. נסענו משם לאילת, לרמת הגולן ולצפת. כולנו אמרנו מדהים איך הכל פה קטן. את אמרת ויש לנו ים ומדבר, כנרת ושלג והר, והמקום הכי נמוך בעולם אני שר לך מכאן. והמקום הכי נמוך בעולם נשאר כאן איתך. מאז חלפו הרבה שנים ומעט מים בים המלח. את ואני מביטים בעיניים רטובות על ישראל מתייבשת. אנחנו נשארנו יחד, אבל השאירו אותנו לבד. כי ככל שירד מפלס ים המלח, גם חברים החלו לרדת. הם אומרים שכאן חם מדי, שם קצת קר אולי, אבל כבר ממש לא לבד, כולם שם, וגם הייאוש נעשה יותר נוח ואפשר לקנות דירה. ואני אומר, עוד תעמדו בתור לעלות חזרה. הם עונים, אח שלנו, מאז שעזבנו, תור זה כבר לא דימוי למשהו רע. בחצר משורר שאל, מי הרג את ים המוות? בוואטסאפ חבר כתב, חברים, קיבלתי אזרחות. כשעצרתי לתדלק, שלחתי לו היי וואלק, עם אימוג'י של פסל החירות. פתאום הרגשתי מאוד לא בנוח, שם בחנות הנוחות. ראיתי חצי מדינה, מסניף של אם צהובה, שותה פחית אדומה, חולמת גרין קארד. את אמרת, חולמים פה למכור בבבל, קרמים בקניון כושר. מהמקום הכי נמוך בעולם אני שר לך מכאן. מהמקום הכי נמוך בעולם נשאר כאן איתך. זוכרת שעמדנו שעה בתור רק בשביל לקבל מספר. וכשהגענו הם אמרו לנו לחזור לאן שאלנו. לסוף התור היה אפשר לשמוע משהו בי נשבר. צעקתי פלא שחולמים פה בעיני עגל על עגלות ועל תמונות שמן מדלת לדלת. בסוף כל עלייה יש ירידה, ועלה לי וכמה זה עולה לנו, אבל אי אפשר לרדת מהמקום הכי נמוך בעולם. זה המקום הכי נמוך בעולם, אני שר לך מכאן. Our next song, his name is Boomim in Hebrew. It's about living in the Gaza envelope. We're thinking today about Guy Iluz, a member of our band, which is kidnapped in Gaza for the last 46 days. We pray for his return. And this song is from September, and it hits different now. Booming. בואי קומי מתוקה, עשיתי לנו הפתעה, יש לילה משוגע בחוץ, נצא לטיול. החורף בא מוקדם, הרעש ששמעת זה רע, מוטוטו טפטוף יביא מבול. אז בואי נבנה לנו תיבה, נפליג לערבה, נחליף מגדל בהרחבה, בבית על העץ. יפה שלי, אין מה לפחד, זה בלון יום הולדת, הוא לא יתפוצץ. בואי נשחק משחק, זה רק אני ואת. בומים, בייבי, בומים, שוב התחילו בומים, בייבי, בואי ניסע מכאן. בומים, בייבי, בומים, שוב התחילו בומים, בייבי, לא משנה לאן. אין לי פתק החלפה, יפה זו רק תקופה, אם אתה יפה אני אשיר לך שיר. שימי יד על המפה, איפה שאת רק רוצה, נשחק עד שנמצא ארץ עיר. וכל זה רק משחק, אולי נזכה בטנקו, סתם נשתות טבק, אקדחים שלופים. אני יוציא לשון, את תצחקי, סרט איטלקי, ממי תצלמי, החיים יפים. בואי נשחק משחק, זה רק אני ואת. בומים, בייבי, בומים, שוב התחילו בומים, בייבי, בואי ניסע מכאן. בומים, בייבי, בומים, שוב התחילו בומים, בייבי, לא משנה לאן. חיילים על ג'יפים, ביטלו את השנטיפי, אורזים קפה, סיגרות לייט ונעלי בית קיפים. חרא של שירות אז לא השאירו טיפים, עוד אלוף במשחקים הפראלימפיים. יונת שלום על טריפים, הפכה זמרת אינדי, אף סינגל לא תופס, הכסף אף על קליפים. לוקחת את הסקט לפארק, דופקת קיק פליפים, אינשאללה יבוא לשיר שעוד יריד את אמות הסיפים. בממלכת ה-15 שניות אין זמן להיפים, תרנגול על אדמה בוערת מיפים, מדברים אנגלית ליד הילד מיסיסיפי. בומים בייבי, בומים, straight out of Gaza stripping. בואי נשחק משחק, זה רק אני ואת. בומים, בייבי, בומים, שוב התחילו בומים, בייבי, בואי ניסע מכאן. בומים, בייבי, בומים, שוב התחילו בומים, לא משנה לאן. בומים, בייבי, בומים, שוב התחילו בומים, בייבי, בואי ניסע מכאן. בומים, בייבי, בומים, שוב התחילו בומים, בייבי, לא משנה לאן. Thank you.
All right. How does it feel to sing this now in November, to sing this song now?
There are some people in YouTube writing that it was a prophecy because it came out in September and then October 7th. But I loved the reaction when people, the comment, people wrote them back. It's no prophecy, it's just life in Gaza envelope and in Israel. I mean, Tel Aviv is also under attack, usually in the last 10 years. So that's life, and now it's like a huge climax to this story.
So Omer, why don't you tell us a little bit about your morning of October 7th? I know you live in Oraner, the kibbutz.
Yeah, with my wife and 2 daughters.
Which is how many miles from the kilometers from the fan?
3.6 kilometers from Gaza Strip. Well, at 6:30, alarms woke me up, and the sounds of missiles hitting the kibbutz, falling in the kibbutz. We do have the Iron Dome sometimes, which protect us sometimes, but this morning felt different. I ran to the safe room with my wife and 2 daughters, which are 2 years old and 3 weeks. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Mazal tov. Um, and then we were, at the beginning, we thought it just another round, as we call it in Israel. Just they'll throw some missiles, we'll evacuate for 2 days, and we're back. But then news started to come on my cell phone because we didn't watch news. We were too busy entertaining our daughter. That's what my last song that we played, Boomy, it's about that, about me translating reality to my little child, saying, okay, we're going to a vacation and there are thunders, even though it's August. Um, so we played with her like alarm, it's a game, we have to run to the safe room, it's all good. But the WhatsApp, the messages, are you okay? This guy was killed, this guy got shot, started to feel different. And after 10 hours in the safe room, we um, took a gamble and decided to drive in, even though we knew they still fire rockets and there are terrorists outside. Since then, well, we're all safe. I think that's the first thing to say thank you about. And now we just live with my sister for several weeks, and now I rent an apartment in Tel Aviv. And I know tons of stories. You'll hear a very special one after us with the panel with the movie. But Israel is crazy now. Tons of people who became heroes in a night, and aside, and the other stories about us, we don't feel protected anymore right now.
6 weeks later, how do you feel about Gaza envelope? How do you feel about one day going back there? How do you feel about the future of you and your family?
Well, we have to go back. That's my opinion. We have to try at least. My mind is on education, about my daughters growing up around people who had a huge trauma. We had a huge trauma, but our kibbutz is still standing. There were kibbutz some of the kibbutzim were burned, and people lost everything. And I hope we'll have the strength to build this place and to be the community we think we are, which is we're here for each other.
So we're about to listen to probably your most known, I would say, well-known song right
yeah,
now.
it was like
song
one
of the year,
the
Shir
song of the year
Hashana,
of
last
last year,
year.
top charted and all that.
I've been thinking, since October 7th, I don't know, it's like to listen to Stalbet Bakibutz, chilling in the kibbutz now. It's the most chill. I mean, if you know the video, the clip is like, it's also part of this song, and it does, you filmed it in your kibbutz.
Yeah, it's a collaboration of me with a friend called Gal Nisman from a band called Full Trunk, and he lives 10 minutes from me, and it was in Gaza envelope.
Can you look at this video now and say like was that like
no,
real to you?
I can't look. There's no chilling and there's no kibbutz, but I have to play it and sing it as a song of hope, and I do believe that this song will be again a song that we will sing proud and happy, most of all. Before we'll play it, I'll just say that I mentioned Guy Iluz, our friend who's kidnapped at the moment, but there are so many people held in captivity. You can't even get their stories here. It's unbelievable. You walk in the street, I guess in New York City or wherever you're from, it's the same. You see the pictures and you can't grasp it. There are so many families that living a nightmare, and that's, I think, our heart is, we want them back now.
So I know you and your band. By the way, do you want to introduce maybe your band before we
Thank
end
you.
with the last song?
Yeah. So Roy Doron, the producer, and on the bass player, Itai Kfir on the drums, also the best singer in the band, Ronnie Markevich on the guitar and singer as well, and YUZ. That's YUZ. His name is Uriah Winston, but he's like a famous. How would you describe your thing?
Guitar artist.
Oh,
String
Guitar
artist.
artist.
yeah.
So guys, thank you so much, all of you, for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for listening, and we appreciate it a lot.
And I know you both prepared something special out of chilling in the kibbutz. Stalbet Kibbutz is right with a different style now. So
Yeah, I'll tell the story.
yeah, we'll love to hear it. All right.
Thank you.
Toda raba, Omer.
So frankly, it's a story from before the 7th of October, and that's how we used to open this song in our concerts, because when it top charted and it was like the #1 hit in Israel, many little children started to like our band, which was new to us, and this child, 5 years old, I think, came to me at the end of the show, and he told me, you know, Jimbo, chilling in the kibbutz is the Israeli Hotel California. And it isn't. It isn't. But we were polite and we said, yes, it's the Israeli Hotel California. You're damn right. And since then, we used to start in our concert this song with Hotel California. So you might as well enjoy it if we do it. And unfortunately, the song doesn't really match, so it won't be like a perfect mashup. But we tried. So that's for him, and I'll hope you enjoy it. Let's sing the chorus together. What do you say?
Thought I heard them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place. Such a lovely place. Such a lovely place. Such a lovely place. Living it up at the Hotel California. Any time of year, you can find it here.
Stalbet Kibbutz, that's how we call it. Itai Kfir on the drums.
כמה זה לחוץ אז למה עיר? סטלבט בקיבוץ בחצי מחיר. אני לא עובד קשה בשביל להיות עשיר, לא מחפש כפיים אם זה לא בסופה.
עד שמצאתי מה חיפשתי קצת הרגשתי תקוע, כמו שליח שלא קולט שבקיבוץ אין רחוב.
אתה רואה פח?
יש פה במפר?
וואי, אתה לא קרוב.
עד שמשהו נפתח בי. לא ידעתי שחיפשתי הזקנה על קלנועית שתצא עליי.
בחור, אתה טס כמו חללית.
וואלה, פה זה לא מרוץ, פה לא צריך ללחוץ, פה לא נורא אם לא יהיה חרוז. ניסיתי אז לפרוח בבטון המזוין, לקח לי זמן לקלוט שהבטון עושה לי פריחה, לקח לי זמן לענות לכל מי שאמר,
שמע, אתה גר רחוק.
נכון אחי, גר רחוק ממך.
כמה זה לחוץ אז למה עיר? סטלבט בקיבוץ בחצי מחיר. לא עובד קשה בשביל להיות עשיר, לא מחפש כפיים זה לא בסוף השיר.
היו ימים הייתי קצת עכבר העיר, אחותי זה השביל של האופניים שם, בסוף אפילו לא עכבר הכפר, סתם בן אדם שאוהב לגור בחור ולקרוא לו מרכז העולם, או פריפריה, סרט מלחמה או בית שאן אימפריה, רמקולים על שפת כנרת, טבריה, אחלה צחוקים בטרגדיה, ניסמן, נראה לי איזה ילד שינה את הערך של האסי בוויקיפדיה.
עזוב ג'ימבו, שחרר.
והגליל והבקעה לערבה ולגולן, משפחות עולות בסופה שם כמו לכותל, חלומות מתוקים על שדות ירוקים, אבל כל הדרכים מובילות לחדר אוכל.
כמה זה לחוץ אז למה עיר? סטלבט בקיבוץ בחצי מחיר. לא עובד קשה בשביל להיות עשיר, לא מחפש כפיים אם זה לא בסופה. כמה זה לחוץ אז למה עיר? סטלבט בקיבוץ בחצי מחיר. לא עובד קשה בשביל להיות עשיר, לא מחפש כפיים אם זה לא בסופה.
מה אני עושה איתי?
לא רוצה לריב על חנייה, למה לי לגור בתוך אתר בנייה? תן לי מיקרופון וגופייה, יאללה ג'ימבו, קח אותי לפטריה. יושבים פה בקיבוץ, חושבים מה לעשות, חיים לנו בסרט כאילו יש אפשרויות. רוצה ליפול על פיצה ותגיע עוד יומיים, לא רוצה לצאת לפריצה שעתיים.
אבל יש פה ים שקט וים התראות וים דשא, ויש פה גם ים ממטרות וים שמש שמשזפת ים לטעות, ויש פה ים בריכות.
כמה זה לחוץ אז למה להסתלבט בקיבוץ בחצי מחיר? אני לא עובד קשה בשביל להיות עשיר, לא מחפש כפיים וזה לא בסופה. כמה זה לחוץ אז למה להסתלבט בקיבוץ בחצי מחיר? אני לא עובד קשה בשביל להיות עשיר, לא מחפש כפיים וזה לא בסופה.
I almost explained to this little child about Hotel California and chilling in the kibbutz. The chords doesn't match, like, but I don't want to be rude, so I just tell him it doesn't fit. אם זה לא בסוף השיר. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We good? All right. Thank you so much to Omer, Jimbo J, and La Katzpa, his band. I want to call on stage the cast of the film Victory. Yael Stolman, Daniel Lippman, the director Eliran Peled, and Yadil Gelman. בבקשה. חופשי. Hi, Erev Tov. Welcome. So I think I'll start with you, Eliran. By the way, I sent to all of you, everyone who signed in, everyone who registered for the event today. I sent you the trailer of the film. I sent you a little bit of information about it. But maybe we'll start a little bit with Eliran telling us a little bit about Victory. I watched the film, let's just say, I know it looks 3 years ago. It was actually 7 weeks ago. I saw the premiere at the festival, the film festival in Haifa. I had no idea what this is about, but I was there. And I remember the emotions in the crowd, the emotions of the actors, the emotion of that being a co-production between Israel and Ukraine. And I remember, I won't say now, I remember the last words of the film. And I do want you, Eliran, to tell our audience a little bit about what is Victory is all about. And hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, first of all. It's really is weird to talk about this film in the new context that it has. But it's actually a film that started from my experience in the Israeli-Gaza conflict in 2014. You can see how long it takes to make a film here. Until you make your film, there's another war that suddenly put it in a different perspective. But my brother came back from the war with a severe PTSD. And I felt that I want to do something regarding that subject, but do something that will be different, not like a depressing film about PTSD, but actually what happens to someone that deals with it on a daily basis. Sorry. And on the same time, in 2015, a year later, I did a documentary about PTSD soldiers in the Six-Day War, which to me was fascinating because it's like the only war we never talked about the bad elements in it. It was the only war that was, in Yom Kippur War, we talked about PTSD, we talked about casualties. In the Six-Day War, you only hear about the victory, and suddenly I met people that victory changed their life, and they actually were those who lost in a victory. And one of them said to me while I was interviewing him that he felt like a mute character in a musical film. So he owed me like 7 years of my life because I took that pitch and it became the center of this project. It's a musical film, the first in many years in the Israeli cinema, that tells the story of an actress that tries to fame in the euphoria days after the Six-Day War, and at the same time gets back an husband that is different than the one she knew in a time that nobody knows what is PTSD. It sounds very depressing, but the film is like full of hope and colors, and it really is a story about those who lost in a victory. And in a really weird kind of prophecy, it became our reality. You will hear the story of one of our cast members, but when I met, beside of like, I don't know, film crew and actors, we are honestly, they are my family. I love them like my brothers and sisters, and we are working on this project for so many years, and we are really, it's not a film crew. When I heard about Yadin, I felt like I heard that something happened to my brother, and I went to the hospital for the first time, and I was crying and I was so emotional. And then all the posters now in Israel, you don't hear like most of it. It's like we're going to win together, victory is ahead, and I just felt like a character in the film that you have this grief with you, and everybody's talking about a victory.
So timing is everything at the end of the day. I mean,
Yes.
timing, even the film could have been, it was ready before.
We already did, like it was supposed to be released last week, and the last weekend on November 16, it was its release date, but because of the situation with the Israeli cinemas in the past 6 months, we did a lot of like pre-screenings, almost 20,000 people watched it already, so that's why we're so acquainted to this kind of events.
So I watched it. I want to say it's a brilliant film, and also you need so much courage even to do a musical film in Israel. It's like once every decade, like 1 in 20 years, like
Something like
a
that.
director has the courage to do something like that. And I mean, I want to tell you that maybe we're waiting for the musical as well. I don't know if that's coming or not. So kol hakavod, thank you for your work. I do want to go to Yadin, if that's okay. I want to started with Eliran, but I want to go to you. I did share with our audience your interview with CNN last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? I'm not sure when was it. Maybe you're not.
I have no idea.
But first of all, thank you for being here. I feel so lucky. We feel so lucky that you're okay. And I want us. I mean, you are an actor for a few. I mean, it's not your first film. It's not your first feature. I know TV shows. I know you had experience, but can you tell us, maybe start with October 7th and tell us a little bit about your role as a soldier, as a reserve soldier on that day?
Yeah, I do want to start and say, first of all, say thank you that we're here. And it's an honor being here, not even just because we have this movie coming out and because there's a war going on, but specifically this movie, Victory, gives a lot of hope to the Israeli people, and it shows a full Israeli story from all the different kinds of colors and shapes and people, and also the ugly parts and also the happy parts and colorful parts. And Eliran really brought a story that makes us full of hope. It's also a prophecy, but it's also a prophecy that shows that maybe everything will be, that together everything will be better. And I think this movie can really be a change in the Israeli people after this whole war finishes, and really give everybody a kind of a break from what we've been through. So I'll go back to October 7th. I know we don't have so much time, so I don't want to talk too long. But I was down south with my friends, my team from the army. We were celebrating my 30th birthday the night before. And October 7th, we woke up from the missiles falling in, and also from our phones just blowing up. Just calls and text messages to come get prepared. We didn't know exactly what was going on, but on the ride to the base, we already realized that every single car on the street is a threat. Everybody could be a terrorist. We realized that all borders were broken, and people just drove into Israel and were a threat on every single spot on the way. We got to the base, and then a few minutes later, we went down to Kfar Aza. That was the first place that we went to. We were there for about 2.5 hours or 2 hours. And that was kind of a very hard entrance into the scenery of this war, specifically this war, because I've been in wars before, but I've never had to drive down a street and see the things that I saw. And then when we got to Kfar Aza, you really realize that the war has gotten to extreme casualties and extreme everything, just the amount of terrorists that have managed to get into Israel. And the beautiful places that you're used to see, like Kfar Aza, became war zones in the worst way. And then we moved from there to Be'eri. And in Be'eri, we fought from about 1 p.m. That's when I got there till 7 p.m. 7 p.m. I got hit. And then it took about an hour and a half to get us out of there after being shot.
Do you remember anything like from that, like after that point? I know you were severely injured. I know there are terminology here in when it comes to injury is always confusing because we don't know exactly what happened. But how long does it take for you to understand what's going on?
So for your first question, I remember everything. I haven't lost any memory, only memory from after, from getting to the hospital. But I remember everything from that day, including the injury. So just to get the terminology straight, I got injured. I got shot in my arm, my shoulder, and my chest and my finger, and my lung punctured. So because my lung punctured, it was, I don't know what the worst name is for an injury, but I was there. And I remember everything. I remember also realizing that I'm towards the end. Me and David, who was next to me, we both got injured. I do remember just kind of realizing that I was under a house full of terrorists. I remember this is probably the last thing I'm gonna see. That's what I remember. Yeah.
And here you are with us.
And here I am.
I mean, it is a miracle that
Yeah.
a few weeks later you're out of the hospital and everything, and not back to normal, but you are able to function, right?
It's a miracle. And Eliran talked about coming to the hospital. All the cast came to the hospital first. They were the first ones there. Really, he talked about a family. It's a family that we chose and that we weren't born into, which is even a greater thing. And everybody, if you told me a month and a half ago that I'd be sitting here with this family, I would have told you that you're crazy.
We all a little bit crazy, I guess. I want to go to Yael. And Yael, this is, I think, your first, like, as a main character, right? In a film. I think I saw you in Teatron Achan about like years ago, or maybe not that long ago, but on the stages. But I want to ask you, like, not just about the film, again, even for you, October 7th, how fast does it go from something you watch on the TV and you think about the film, you think about the role, you think about war? Does it all mix together, or it's like it's a clear cut between reality and movie and art?
Yeah, it happens a lot when reality and my work gets along like very strangely and in a very tough way, actually. And I have a blackout from this morning because my husband woke me up at 7 a.m. he was with my son. He's 4 years old, and I'm pregnant, and I'm very emotional in these days anyways. And he told me, I'm sorry I'm waking you up, but there is a war. And then there was like, I heard everything from my house, and I was crying, and it was like, I think it was the most scary day in my life. And when you have a son, it's I don't know if it's scarier. I don't want to say, because I don't know who was most scared from all of us, but I was very worried, and I was afraid to die, and I never felt that. And afterwards, when like things slowly came down, I don't know if they did, but when we somehow got used to this reality, that it's hard for me to say that because we are not getting used to it, but then I started to get messages from people that saw the movie already, my family, my friends, also people that are not close to me, and they told me it's not getting out of my mind. And then I started to realize that this is another thing that comes along with my life. And I have to say, in a scary way, like I hope, I don't know, it scares me a lot because of the theme, and because my brother is also fighting in Gaza since the October 7th, and I don't want me to it's hard for me even to talk about it, but I don't want things to bond in this theme. But from the other hand, I'm preparing myself, because I think we will get out of it when most people will be very injured in their soul. So yeah, I think
Not
that's
just
the
physically
bonus.
like Yadin, but mentally.
Yeah, like we're worried about so many things. Yeah.
Daniel, people in America, here in Israel, I think most people know you, and they don't know you're a TV star. So I'm going to tell them you're a TV star. And who gets the most requests for selfies? Is it you usually? Yeah. By far.
No, now it's
now
Yadin.
Yadin, but
Yeah,
before.
Yadin is winning
No,
now.
Yadin is winning now, but before that, it
He
was
is
you.
the real hero right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
But you've been in this field for a while, and you being a major part in this film. Do you see yourself like, again, I'll ask you the same thing, like this was already like 2 years ago when you actually filmed it, about 18 months ago?
Yeah.
December 21, 2021. So Danielle, like, how was your experience since October 7th, related or not related to the film?
Well, first of all, I wasn't in Tel Aviv in the center. You know, there was also alarms in Tel Aviv. I was up in the north with my family, and I got a call from my wife, 6:30, I think, in the morning. She says, "Listen, I'm sorry to wake you up, but there's a war. There's a terrorist walking around in Israel." And I see the first video of the terrorist in Sderot, and I say, no, it's fake. There's no chance there's terrorists inside Israel. There's no way. And unfortunately, as long as we watch the news, we realized how big is the situation. And I think we said a few times, this movie is like prophecy, but I don't think it's a prophecy. I think it's like, it's our reality since ever. Because if we lose names and dates and just describe the feeling right now here in Israel, you know, people-wise, energy-wise, it's like describing what we were trying to do in this movie. You know, it's not like Yael said, it's not just a physical war. It's also the war to continue our lives after. And it's something that I don't know what's going to be after. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I hope it's going to be for the best. I hope that we're going to be united and we can grow towards a better future. But it's going to leave scars not just physically, but also emotionally. So I think this this film, I know I'm not objective, but I think this film can tell a little bit what all of us are going through right now, individually and as a state.
And you were acting as someone with PTSD who's
Yeah.
coming back from a war that we won, not from a war that we lost. From like what
Yeah.
still in the memory in Israel, 6 days war is a victory. Is we are winning, but still the soldiers that are coming back do not feel.
No,
no,
they
do
they
not feel the
come
same.
they came back from the battle, from the war zone, and they saw so many things. You know, me as an actor, now I can say, okay, I'm trying to do my best, and I have the makeup of the injury, and I hear the cut, and I go drink a cup of water and whatever, thinking what he's been through. I can't even imagine. I swear to God, I don't know. It's like an action movie or a video game. So I was trying to portray it because Eliran and I, we worked on it a lot. He told me so much about his brother, and I wasn't a combat soldier in the army, but I took my own personal PTSD. I think all of us has PTSD. Before we came here, Yael and I were sitting at the back, and the Jimbo J show was started like boom, and we were, oh my God, what was that? So I think everyone here in Israel has a little bit of PTSD, and we some of us we don't want to admit it. And for me, I was trying to find always on the set. I was trying to find. I don't know, what are you celebrating for, because there's so many losses over here, and I think right now we're talking a lot about victory, and of course, hopefully we're gonna win, but we have so much loss here, so I don't know if it's actual victory.
So, Eliran, how do you see this film being accepted by the American Jewish or in other Jewish communities around the world? Do you think that now is a good time to see a film like Victory, or is it something that, when you look at it now, like, actually, I want to watch something completely different, like, a soap opera or something. How do you deal with like that dilemma?
I think that right now, especially like the Israeli audience, and I can say, and we saw how audiences abroad saw the film. It's an emotional film, and it's I think it really talks about grief and PTSD in a very unusual. You saw the film; it is different, and I think it talks about emotions and feelings. You don't see the graphic things, and you don't see the war battles. You just talk about the aftermath, like the war itself. You don't see one frame of the war. You see them going to the war, and there is a title of 6 days later. And I think right now, as Daniel says, like the worst feeling that I have, and I lost many friends, and we actually, it's important to me to, I'm not crying, I'm sorry. We lost the sound designer of Fair.
Okay.
Sorry. No, it's still weird to me to say it, but I'm gonna balance myself. I'm sorry, but we lost the sound designer of the film, which was a great friend and colleague and like a huge part of this project. So,
What was his name?
Leo Weitzman. So I think besides that and the tragedy, it's like talking about what is the victory, and I think that is something that right now all of us is asking, but because as Daniel said, we are all talking about and like the narrative right now in Israel that we have to win and victory needs to happen, and you still ask yourself, what is the victory? And I think that in the end, this is the film that we did. If in 6 days, and our film, I don't know if you know it, it's based on real stories. Like all the characters in the film are based on real people, and actually we did a special screening for them a few weeks before the war. But if someone lost became widowed, or somebody dealt with PTSD for the rest of his life, how can you title it as a victory? Because someone lost. And I think here, with what we are feeling, for me, the fact when I'm saying it's like a victory is ahead, it upsets me in a way. Although I understand the need in that narrative, because we need to feel like we won, but you cannot actually win in this situation. And I remember in the Gaza conflict in 2014, I was an officer and my brother was inside. And the toughest talk that I had, and I have two kids. I have one kid that is like, I have two sons. The youngest one is 1 month old, and he was born like a week before October 7. But my brother came and looked at them, and then he told me, you know what is the worst thing about our story? That it doesn't have, like, all the last 9 years that we had since 2014, that was honestly the worst decade. I don't wish it to anyone. He just told me it was meaningless. Like, our story gonna happen to so many people right now. So I think that it is a film, especially in this context, that tells that story. And I think it's important for Jewish communities everywhere to say it, because it says something very specific about the narrative of this country that is, I feel, is not talked about a lot. Because again, even, look, it's worse. I'm dealing a lot with historic content, so it's not even Yom Kippur. It's so much worse what we're dealing here on an emotional level, and still it's like an automatic response. We're talking about a victory. So I think in that aspect, it's a film that I'm first of all very proud that we did it, and I think it's a film that it's important for Jewish communities and people in Israel to see, because it talks about things that we are afraid to talk about.
I want to add something, because Eliran was talking about it, about the screening for the people who were actually fighting the war, 6-day war. And I think the best compliment that I've got for this movie was two grown men came to me crying with their wives and tell me, thank you for, after so long, letting me see myself and letting me open my feelings about what happened over there. So I think it's the best compliment for the movie, for us to that we can make people deal with whatever happened happened there, or with. I think the most important thing in PTSD is to talk it out, and try to deal with it. So I think this movie is doing it.
I agree. I wanted to ask you, Yadin, you were now part of, I don't know if you, like, I don't know how the whole CNN interview got, to be a thing, but like, do you see yourself as someone, like, you have to tell that story? Like, in CNN, it looked like, it's like, of course it comes from inside, you were heavily injured. Do you feel the urge now to go and tell your story? And some people were like, taking a step back and rather just, stay out of it. How do you feel about it?
So for me, it came because I felt like I left my team and my friends in the battle, and I've been sitting in the hospital just healing. I felt I needed to help the war somehow, and I saw online in the media, on Instagram, any social media, that we're losing the war against Hamas and terrorists all around the world, doing a much better job than we are on the media. And I just felt that that I have a good chance here to fight back, and that gave me the feeling that I'm back on the war zone, and I'm with my team again, on a different front, but I'm still there with them. I do want to say something again about the movie. So Daniel talked about the biggest compliment he got. I've heard another compliment that he got, that it's very important, because he talked about PTSD and how we all go through PTSD. You don't see PTSD represented in the right ways in movies. It's always something very unreal and very outrageous and bigger than what it really is, and not something that goes through somebody inside. In this movie, also Eliran, the way he wrote it, and also Daniel, the way he portrayed it, really shows PTSD, I think, in the most exact way that it really is in true life. And I think once you see it, you get a better understanding of what PTSD is.
Thank you. So Yael, before we conclude here, so how it's like to see you on the big screen, on a big role, I think, for the first time. And I know there's a lot of optimism that, for you to, like, how much you excited about this film to come out, and how do you see your personal future?
Wow.
No, it's not
That's
too
a
much.
huge
As an
question.
actress, like film,
Um,
theater, like where do you want to go?
The film experience for me was amazing, like surrealistic, more than I dreamed of, really, with Eliran and with everyone. And it was in Ukraine. The since then also a lot of happened there, but it was very like intimate and the real thing. And I know since then I know that's what I'm most interested of doing. I really like theater, but I don't know. Whatever will come, I really enjoy having a big challenge, and this was a huge challenge for me, a very exciting one. And to see myself on the big screen was also a surrealistic experience because I had like my family, my friends holding my hand and seeing me. It was something new. Since then, I did more stuff, and I'm hoping like for actually in November I was supposed to. It was my month. I was so expecting it. Also the film and a series I did.
I just add that she had a show on Netflix that was supposed to be released in the
right.
beginning of November, and then our
Yeah.
film
The
was to
Faust,
go
no,
like
Savion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, they had the TV show, and our film was supposed to be on November 16th. So she was supposed to be everywhere now.
Yeah, I
but
was
yeah, it's
waiting.
gonna
No,
happen.
eventually,
Anyway.
the American audience will know who you are because it will come out eventually on Netflix, right? Your show.
Yeah, I hope so. And like all this meeting for me is very optimistic, and it's so good for me to see also Yadin here smiling and for us being together talking about the future because it's something I didn't do in the last month and a half. I was just like the best. Let's see what's going to happen in the next hour. So it's really nice to me to keep dreaming.
So I do want to end with the way I when I saw the film, and especially after October 7th, I thought this was like the perfect way for people to watch the film. And usually there is a talk back after, and which is like, again, the cast or the director is just talking. I feel like this is here an opportunity to have like a little bit more in-depth conversation between the cast, who happen to be Israelis, who happen to have, real stories about things that are happening in the 2023 war. After you watch Victory, and I will say it is an optimistic film, but in a sense, it ends with a little bit of like a lot of thoughts about about the next war. And then 2 weeks, I mean, I watched it in like late September, and then 10 days later it happened. So I want to end with like, do you think you see it as a pessimistic or optimistic story, the story of Victory?
It's an interesting question. I think always the structure of the film, although it's a very Israeli story, it's based on the structure of the Star is Born formula of musicals. You have the Star is Born, and usually those films ends with suicide or like with tragic ending. You don't, spoiler alert, it's not the kind of story that we tell here. The optimist is about like that you keep on going and living your life. But I think that in Israel, even if you're optimistic, you need to be realistic. When I feel it on myself right now. In 2014, I really believed, my grandpa died in the Independence War. I have a PTSD grandpa from Yom Kippur, and I have a PTSD brother. And I really felt that maybe that's like the last time we're gonna tell this story. And now I see that it's not. So I think that in Israel, and I think the ending of the film, I'm just gonna say what it ends in You, Me, and the Very Next Door by Hanoch Levin. It's the last number, last scene. So the last sentence is actually, we're gonna talk after the next war, and then 6 days after the screening that you've been at, it unfortunately happened. But I think this is pretty much our narrative here. We need to keep on dreaming, keep on living our life, and keep in our head that in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it's gonna happen again. And it's like when I was a kid, it was really, I think all of us, our parents told us, like, when you grow up, there's not going to be an army. I'm not telling it to my kids. I know that this is, if you live here, this is the reality. So you could be optimistic and pessimistic or realistic
Or
at the
realistic.
same time. Yeah.
All right. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. I do want to say that if you want to, I'm going to send a few scenes from a few numbers from the film, but also maybe for JCCs, for community, want to see the film beforehand, and also like the cast is open to U.S. tour or North American tour during 2024, and I do believe that this is in a way to start a conversation about October 7th and about the Israeli society with this wonderful cast and this wonderful film. I think it's a great opportunity for the communities and in North America and for our JCCs to really have some kind of Israeli experience. So toda rabah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
thank you for coming all the way to Tel Aviv. I know it was short, but thank you so much for the effort. Toda rabah. And all right, before we end, I'll take a few more questions. I want to thank each and every one. I want to thank Yadin, Daniel, Yael, and Eliran. Before we go, now I'll go back to my computer.
So, please let me know if you can hear me. Yes? All right, great. I want to talk for a few minutes just about our next steps and what are we going to do. If you would like to invite Jimbo J to your community, Jimbo and his band, you can have Jimbo alone with Uriah, the guitar player. You can have the full band coming to the US. They're working on a US or North American tour. In addition to that, we have the film Victory is coming for North American tour as well. This is something that you can use as part of Mit-habrim that could come to your community. What I will need from you, I will send all the information tomorrow on your email. Everyone, you'll see the recording. Please use the recording also with your colleagues, other people who want to enjoy the content and also want to think about it as an opportunity for the national holidays and opportunity during 2024. We're doing the best we can to have flexibility and to invite people. I do want to know if anyone has any questions, more questions about the grant, more questions from me. Again, already during this conversation, I got a few people that already set up a Zoom call with me who wanted to ask me specific questions. People want to know more, and I'm happy to do that. My calendar is open for you, and I know after Thanksgiving, people will go back to the office and try to think about the upcoming programming. So I was wondering if anyone has any thought or question, anything about Jimbo. You'll get the information about his agent and how you can coordinate his concert in your JCC. You'll get the information of Iliran and how you can get a screening in your JCC very soon. So I was wondering if those are two great opportunities. And as I said, in the next 2 weeks, there will be more opportunities of more artists, musicians, actors that and shows that you can bring to your community, all related to the situation in Israel, all related to Israeli society. And I hope that you and your community will be able to enjoy it. Anyone has anything you want to, you can mute yourself. You can write on the chat. I don't see anyone on the chat now.
Uriah?
Yes.
Hi, I just think it's worth commenting. You had mentioned that there would be English super titles or subtitles. I think it's worth mentioning that to the
Yes.
group.
For Jimbo J, they're working right now that there will be, I mean, it's almost done, that while he's performing, there will be translation. I sent 2 videos today already with English subtitles of 2 of the songs that were here today. When they were traveling in America, you will see a translation to translation and transliteration to every song that they will perform on stage, so people would understand. With Jimbo, you can have a conversation about Hebrew versus English, what is mean like the Hebrew language for him, also about his personal story. He already only shared a brief from his personal story from October 7th, but there's more, way more layers to his personal story and his family, and it keeps changing every day. So I think it is worth the conversation. Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else? I would love to. So before we go, I just want to say how much I appreciate for you coming here. I want to encourage you to show up again, to join us next week, the same time, November 28th, 1 p.m. If you're not able, I will send again, the recording will be available. We have next week, we have 5 artists from the city of Sderot. Leah and Sarah and I had a chance to visit Sderot just last week. Sderot is a city with a music scene for years, for decades, of young artists coming out of Sderot, and now the town of Sderot has been through a lot. Most of the citizens, most of the people there left, and I don't know when they're coming back, but they're still performing, they're still showing their art, and I think it's worth just, even just showing up for their support. It's important. And again, I want to encourage you to use the grant as much as possible to come and ask me, and please apply for Mit-habrim connection. We want to make sure that every JCC in North America has an opportunity to have this year a unique and meaningful Yamim. Anything else? Leah or Sarah, do you want to add anything before we
I
leave?
just want
It's
to
nice.
thank you, Aria, for putting together this really moving, outstanding, and in many ways heartbreaking, but also uplifting presentation. Toda rabba and kol hakavod to you.
Thank you. I just want to say about the film, Yadin himself, he's an incredible person. Eliran as well, Yael and Danielle, they're all incredible. But Yadin, if you please look at the interview at CNN, his role in the movie is also a great actor. To watch this film and to hear Yadin afterwards, it's heartbreaking, but also brings you so much spirit. And I think this is something that we need, the combination of understanding what happened, but also understand that we're looking at the future with a bit of optimism. We wanted what the future of Israel is like. And I think Yadin Gelman, who's severely injured, who was fighting for his life for a day, and now he's here laughing with us in Tel Aviv. I think it's a story worth telling on the screen and off the screen. So I was very emotional and happy that he was here. Toda rabba lekulam. Thank you so much. Have a great night.